All right, everybody. Today's video is going to be nice and short. We're starting a new unit. So, real quick, this whole unit is going to be on what's known as a sampling distribution. And we're really going to talk about what a sampling distribution is in tomorrow's video. And then we're going to talk about sample distributions, proportions, and then sampling distributions of means. So, let's get right into it. What is a sampling distribution? So by the end of this section of your book, which you should be reading along with, you should be reading the first couple pages of Chapter 7 in your textbook, you should be able to distinguish between a parameter and a statistic, define a sampling distribution, distinguish between a population distribution, a sampling distribution, and the distribution of sample data, determine whether a statistic is an unbiased estimator of population parameter, and describe the relationship between sample size and the variability of an estimator. What we're going to talk about today is just this one first piece, distinguish between a parameter and a statistic. So we're starting to get into the serious part of statistics. We're starting to get into statistical inference. And statistical inference is using information from a sample to draw conclusions about a wider population. Different random samples yield different statistics. And so what we need to be able to do is we need to be able to describe the sampling distribution of a possible statistics. So what we're going to think of is we're going to start thinking of a statistic as a random variable and the distributions of that random variable. So what does that mean? Okay. So you have a population. And from that population, we're going to take a small sample. We're going to collect the data, we're going to analyze the data from the sample, and we're going to make inference about the population. And so it's very important that we understand the difference when we collect data from a sample, we're going to call that data statistics. If we were if we analyze the data, we're going to call that statistics. So a statistic is a number that describes some characteristic of a sample. The value of the statistic can be computed directly from the sample data, and we'll often use statistics to estimate an unknown parameter. So what is a parameter? Well, a parameter is a number that describes the population. And in real life, we rarely know a parameter. This goes back to earlier, we talked about this earlier in the year, the difference between a statistic and a parameter. Like if we want to know the average size of some fish in Lake Michigan, we're never actually going to be able to figure out that parameter because we'd have to drain the lake and measure every single fish. So what we do is we use statistics to estimate the parameter. And so examples of parameters is the mean of a population for some variable, the standard deviation of a population for some variable, the proportion that exists in some thing. And because parameters and statistics are so different, we're going to use different notation for them. What I'm using the wrong notation on the AP exam, if you use a parameter statistic for a parameter symbol for a statistic, or use a statistic symbol for a parameter, that problem immediately becomes wrong. So the statistic, if we take a sample of a population and we estimate the average of the population, we use X bar. So X bar is an estimation of mu. If we take data and we use that data to estimate the standard deviation of a population, then we use S sub X, and this is the estimation of that. And then we're going to learn a new term, which is this funny little symbol here, which we will call p hat. And p hat is the estimation of p. So let's go back to this drawing right here. So, and I'm going to erase everything here. Well, maybe. I'm going to try to erase everything here. So there is some average for this population. but we don't know what it is. So what we will do, we will collect data, and we will find the, oh man, I messed this thing up. We will find the average of the data. And that average would be X bar. And so what this unit is going to be looking at is how accurate is that X bar, X bar. How accurate is that X bar estimate? And how reliable is it? So how much inference can I make about mu? So that's what we're going to be doing in this unit. Remember S and P for statistics. S and statistics come from samples. Parameters come from populations. We use Greek letters generally for populations, especially when we're talking, and we use symbols like p hat, x bar, s sub x. Everything has extra writing when it's just a statistic. So that's it. I will see everybody next class, and we get into creating our own estimators. We're going to do the German tank problem. So I'll see you guys.